It's more of an induced coma rather than a slumber. I heard your previous speaker refer to it as a COVID slumber. Look, this is an economy is defined as a circular flow of income, and one person's income is another person's spending. And when you have a circuit breaker imposed for the virus, it's necessarily also a circuit breaker for the economy. It's an interruption, a deliberate interruption. And when you come out of coma,
Sure.
you don't just run a marathon straight away. I think it's important to remember that even before this pandemic, this tragic pandemic was on the horizon, we weren't exactly fighting fit. The IMF had downgraded its growth forecasts 3 times before that. Both the Fed and the ECB had resumed their extraordinary monetary loosening policy before the pandemic was on the horizon. So to keep with the analogy, the late stage growth that we were in, doses of monetary glucose were already being administered before we got to this pandemic crisis. So I think the headwinds on the other side will remain tremendous. I think V-shape is a fantasy. It's more like probably a Nike tick, or hopefully not an L shape, could be a W shape. It all depends on the nature of the exit from lockdown. And I think there is some agency in that. It also depends on the policy feedback loop as we go through that exit from lockdown.
Lutfey, what would you say to those who are perhaps buying into the market right now, buying into this risk rally on the hope that the extraordinary stimulus measures from the Fed, that some of the fiscal measures we've seen adopted around the world are going to soften this blow and maybe not give us a sharp V, but certainly help us avoid something more dire like a W?
Yeah, so it has been very impressive. The policy responses, not just monetary, but also the fiscal policy responses around the globe. We have broken all the taboos around printing money, moral hazard, some forms of universal basic income. So it's true, the kitchen sink has been thrown at it. And that is what will keep things going from but on the backdrop of it being an induced coma, it's a very different thing to say that we're going to be up running again. And this is where I think it's important to appreciate the type of exit from lockdown we might get. There are various templates. You have the China template, you have Korea, Denmark, Germany, Switzerland. Each one of them is graduated, staggered exit. Each one of them will require associated behavioral changes, continuing distancing, traffic for people traveling between countries will probably remain closed for some time, digital surveillance. So, it's a world of distancing as opposed to a world of sharing economies. And I think that structural change has not been appreciated.